All right, people. So welcome to Legendary Youth for Life. This is Legend speaking, and I'm here with another episode. And today I got a special guest, my homeboy Ed, my brother from another mother. Ed, introduce yourself. What do you do? What you do for a living?
Hey, how y'all guys doing? Currently I do nothing, man. I take care of my family.
yo, yo, yo. That brutal honesty, right?
Right.
if only we could live life that way, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
That
but
level of
overall,
honesty.
I'm a performance enhancement specialist, been coach and trainer and fitness professional for 18 years now. I've worked with all kinds of people in all types of different ways. I just know people get better at whatever they're doing, what I'm saying? And most of the time it's based on something physical. We're working with the athletes and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So what's your favorite thing? Like, what is your specialty? Like, if an athlete, say like I'm an athlete coming to you and I'm a middle of the road kind of athlete and I want to get like better. I want to get to that elite status. Like, what could you do? Like, what could you help me do?
So my specialty is like enhancing your performance. So the very first thing I would do is talk to you about it, figure out exactly where you are and what you've been doing and what your goals are. Because the most important piece of helping somebody is the assessment piece. So I always start with the needs analysis to figure out exactly what it is that you need in the first place.
Yeah, because you
what
don't
your
know what
strength-
you don't know, right?
Yeah, because you have to know where your strengths and opportunities are. Because I could just jump in with my expertise, but I may jump in with something you don't need or something you've already heard or something you know already doesn't work or whatever. And when the answers can be anything, you have to put the right questions out there to find out what's going on with the person. So I always start out with, what are your goals? What do you currently do? How do you train? And really take in a bunch of information at first, because that'll help me to figure out exactly what I'm dealing with. And then from the mental assessment goes to physical assessment.
Okay. So what would a physical assessment look like? So I'm coming to you and I'm like, yo, I'm trying to get Michael Norman fast. Like, what's up? You got me?
I'm like, all right, so where are we right now?
we more like
Step one, where are you currently? That's where you always need to start, because everybody, you telling me what you want to do, no problem. What times are you currently running? And then we will go from there. So let's say you're currently running 11 flat and you want to go sub 11. I'd ask you what type of things are you doing currently, and you tell me your training, and I look at that, and then I'd start you off with a basic assessment, calf raises first, for instance. So feet shoulder width apart, toes lined up straight. That's when you do a calf raise. And initially, I don't even do I don't do any altering of your technique. I just want to see what you do naturally. See what your calf raise look like with your toes pointed forward. Then I'll have you bring your heels together, do a calf raise, and bring your toes together and do a calf raise. Because that's your first point of contact, right? You're pushing off the ground regardless. So I want to see what's happening at the ankle joint and the foot. Then from there, we do a knee raise drill where I have you bring your knee up as high as you can and only lower it down to 90 degrees and lift it back up from there. I have you do about 20 of those to see what type of hip and core control you have in your lumbo-pelvic hip complex on each leg.
And I'm gonna jump into for personal experience, man. That hip drill, it tell on you quick, man. It snitch on you every time. Oh my goodness.
I'm like, oh, what is it? And just in those three things right there, you already see, oh, all right, I can see things that'll help you right there. Because most people have the biggest issue with just moving their body through the fluid range of motion, and they don't train for that. And track and field and speed is 99% technical. So if you're not doing it properly, it's just not going to work. And you have to.
Yeah, that makes me think about like, even like flexibility. Like maybe speak to that, like just being flexible, being able to get that knee up and having that mobility. Maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that's a big piece, because a lot of times what you hear is get your knee up. Lift your knees up, strike the ground hard, step over your knee, all these great things that sound amazing, but people don't actually explain to you what they do, right, or how it works. So I'll give you some core
They just
drills.
yelling at you, get your knees up, run tall.
I would love to, coach. How do I do that?
Yeah.
And that's about balanced strength, right? So then we take you through a balanced strength portion, and I'll actually show you different exercises. And in that same assessment, you typically change your performance in a few minutes. And you're like, wow, I can see how this could work. Or I can see how this muscle's fatigued, or it's hard for me to even lift my leg to the side. And then we go into squatting and lunging. And once you get to moving, period, and then we'll start to see like, oh, it's a bunch of things that's missing from my ability. And then we'll
Yeah.
build on those things.
And
And
the
if
great
those
thing about that flexibility piece is that that's something that you could do at home with minimal
Mhm.
equipment. You can
Yeah.
get that done anytime, anywhere while you watching Netflix or anything.
Yeah, the first portion of this assessment is just body weight. And then the body weight assessments normally turn into your body weight exercises depending on, how you do through the different ranges of motion. It's like, hey, here's your first workouts right here. And then these will become your warm-ups. These will become your alignment drills. Because performance is based on stability, strength, and then power.
Mm-hmm.
We skip stability, we toy with strength, and we go straight to power and start trying to do stuff.
Yes. Look, let's reiterate that, and I'll probably put that on the screen. So it's stability, strength, and
Yeah.
is there a
Can you
particular
even
order in which you train that, or
Yes,
no?
sir. Step one, stability, right? So stability, you're looking at, can you balance on 2 feet? Can you balance on 1 foot? And depending on what the different things are. Like for instance, a lot of times I work on proprioception. I tell clients, which is great for us, stand, balance on both feet, how you feel, pretty good. All right, balance on 1 foot. That gets a little
There.
shaky, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
close your eyes, and you would think a tornado came. Oh, it's all wiggly. You could like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, that's a big part of performance is stability. Can you be balanced on that leg? Can you control yourself? Because typically in athletic performance, you're on one leg.
Yep. Yep. You're never on 2 feet during a race, and if you are, you in trouble.
Yeah. But people don't train in that way, right? So even just learning how to even be able to control yourself and be able to balance, you know what I'm saying? So we work on things like that. Cause that even gets into your mentals, right? When you people normally balance based off of what they can see and their focal points. So you need to train your body to balance from the inside out. So closing your eyes, which you know very well, not being able to see can alter it, but it makes you
Oh
super
yeah.
strong. Because once you start moving really quickly, everyone's vision is altered. No one can see as clearly as they do when they're sprinting. And once you can't see as clearly, it's hard to keep your muscles and body parts in alignment if you don't train for it. So that's something else we train for as well.
Yeah.
So
Like
like this,
when people start to tie up, they start crossing their arms start crossing their body, and you gotta focus and keep that balance and keep that form right.
definitely. And that goes into the upper body assessments and training we do. So literally I train you for each portion of the body. And I like to show you exactly how the strikes are supposed to happen in the ground, how you're supposed to use your body as a spring, how you're supposed to attack the ground as opposed to wait for the ground to come to you. There's a lot of things you can do with your force couples that'll help you, even if you're injured, even if you had ankle injuries or knee injuries or hip injuries. When it comes to sprinting, the safest thing to do is to aggressively sprint. Because when you aggressively sprint, it creates the proper force couples in the muscles that'll protect your joints. But when you kind of hold back or you favor one side over the other, that's when you put yourself in danger of getting actual true injury and pain. And it affects your races like that. It affects your
Mhm.
time tremendously.
So that's big. That's big what you said. So you got to make sure that your body becomes familiar with that stimulus of that actual putting out that force and that amount of effort. You don't want the race be the first time you ever put on that go gadget gear. You want to make sure that you're doing that at some point in practice, so that way your body can get used to it, right?
Yes, sir. Because your body remembers what you do the most, not what you want to emphasize or what you care about. It remembers what it does the most. So if regularly you're running, you're jogging, you're doing 60%, 70%, 80%, and only at race
Mhm.
time do you go 100, you'll never really be able to be fast that way because your body won't learn it and you won't be able to feel speed. Let's talk about in the 200. If you typically do your repeats at 23, 24, if you run a 22 low, you feel like you're flying,
Mhm.
but you probably shouldn't be on the track at that space because it's nowhere near the 21, 20, or 19 that you may need for your event. And
Mhm.
though your body may be capable of it, you won't be able to feel it in competition. And when you fatigue or when you're stressed or when you're trying to compete and you're looking around, your body will go to what it normally does. And then when you pick up space and speed, when you come down in a sprint, you're coming down somewhere between 3 and 10 times the pressure of your body weight.
Mhm.
If you're doing it with malalignment or uncertainty, you're on the ground, or you're fatigued, or you die off. Like you seen people that sprinting and they just kind of slow down, like, oh, what
Yep.
happened? He's accelerating rapidly because the body wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, and one thing I always love to repeat to myself is you are what you practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You keep practicing that one thing, that's what you become. So you trying to
Definitely.
think you about to click a switch in the races, it's not about to happen.
Yeah. So anytime I train my athletes, I always tell them about it's about amounts of effort, but you always do the full technique. You may put a lot of force behind it or minimal force behind it, but you always do the proper form, the proper technique. It's never I only drive my knees a bit, I only pump my arms a bit. You got to really control your body and get it used to moving properly, because that's the only way you actually learn what you're doing. And until you
Mhm.
really learn how to actually run properly when somebody shows you how to strike, it's going to be difficult and you're going to have to add in the proper strength and training. But those things change really quickly with technique.
I
And then
love
once you
all these.
good,
I absolutely love all these tips. Um,
yeah,
so so for our hypothetical athlete, right? It's just he's
hmm
trying to get to that next level. Give him one overarching tip. Give him one overarching tip that he could use right now and implement to kind of help himself get better instantly. Because everybody wants the instant gratification. What is something that they can implement today to help them take that next step?
the biggest tip is to learn how to strike the ground, because most people they're running and planting their foot on the ground. And
Mhm.
what they end up doing is trying to create speed as opposed to channeling the force forward. So a lot of times when you're hitting the ground, people, everybody pick up a spike and look at the bottom of your spike. Look at how it's designed. Look at where the spikes are, right? You see the spikes are
Mhm.
all lying around the toes in the front of the shoe, and the
Mhm.
sharpening point there. The rest of the shoe is stiff and solid, and it narrows towards the back, right?
Mhm.
Because the front of the shoe is supposed to go down, and the balls of your feet are supposed to strike first and back. And then your heel hits the ground. And from there, you can push and you get the stretch reflex. So if you learn to strike your foot, I'd probably be better even giving a demonstration. But if you learn to strike your foot appropriately, you'll cover way more ground, because instead of you attempting to manufacture speed, you'll be forward automatically. So imagine if
Mhm.
you're walking, right? So imagine if everybody was to stand up who may be watching this, and you're on the balls of your feet, right? From there, you can find yourself a balance with your feet shoulder width apart. Everything's pointed forward. Lift your chest, draw your shoulders back, and lower your shoulders as far as they can. From there, draw on your stomach and lift your pelvis, so that, imagine your pelvis is like a bucket of water. You don't want the water to tip out and spill on your feet. So you got to pull your pelvis upward to keep the water from falling.
Mhm.
Once your pelvis is up, then you can push your pelvis forward and crouch down. And from there, you're in a power position, right? And to take off of your sprint from there, you just lean forward a step, and your body will automatically start to propel forward. From there, all you need to do is push and pull. Pull your arms on through, push off the ground, and you'll start flying. And no matter what skill set you are at that point, you will automatically run faster than you just ran, because now you're
Mhm.
putting your body into the right projection angles. And that's a big cheat code, right? Striking.
Man, I absolutely love it. You're gonna have everybody trying to mimic that, and they're gonna have to hit you up. And where can people hit you up? Where can people find you? What's the best way to contact you if they want some more one-on-one training or some more information like you just provided for us?
I think we're going to have to get back on here, man, get with you again and do this again and get some videos going. But outside of that, I have Instagram. It's focused energy, focused
Yep.
underscore energy.
Hmm.
I named it that because the obvious, everything that we do is based on focused energy. You can put a lot of effort into it, but you need to focus it. So I have focused energy, and I technically have a Twitter page. It's Guaranteed Speed, and even on Facebook.
Yeah.
Personal trainer Edward Saunders. I'm on all three of those. I honestly don't use any of them, but I get alerts from all of them. So if somebody hits me on there, I'll see it.
Great. And thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to find a way to get you on here, but we finally made it happen. So thank you, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
All right, thanks, man.